Here on planet Earth, we've been blessed with an abundance of natural wonders to enjoy. But occasionally, Mother Nature likes to throw us a curveball and make the world more bizarre than simply beautiful. From giant red jellyfish in the sky and icy anomalies on the ground to shocking genetic mutations, let's check out some of the most mind-blowing anomalies of nature. Baikal Zen. They say that life often imitates art, but on the frozen surface of Lake Baikal in Siberia, nature isn't trying for imitation, it's making art itself. There on the lake's frozen surface, flat rocks can be found miraculously balanced on narrow pedestals of ice. This ultra-rare spectacle has only ever been recorded as taking place on Lake Baikal, leading scientists to dub the phenomenon Baikal Zen. Scientists have been trying to figure out the secret behind Baikal Zen for decades, but now we might just have an explanation. Physicists point to a natural phenomenon known as sublimation, a process where solar radiation converts ice straight into gas without first melting into water in areas with below freezing temperatures. Based around this principle, in 2021, a group of French physicists reported that they'd been able to reproduce Baikal Zen inside a laboratory. The experiment revealed that after Lake Baikal freezes over, pebbles are often blown onto its icy surface by strong winds. As the icy surface around the pebbles begins to sublimate in the daytime sun, the pebble acts as sort of an umbrella, shading just a small column of ice, preventing it from sublimating. The overall process can take several weeks to produce these magnificent little sculptures. And while art is often considered the ultimate form of human expression, turns out the greatest sculptor of all is Mother Nature herself. Exception. It's a question as old as time itself. What came first, the chicken or the egg? While I'm not exactly a philosopher, it looks like Mother Nature has gone the extra mile to make this paradox even more complicated. Check this out.
Oh, it cracked really easy.
It is. It's an egg inside of an egg. How cool.
Yes. Can I crack that
No,
one?
wait.
Oh,
That was hard. I knew it was hard.
I knew it was dead.
Just a regular egg.
Somehow it looks like this egg was able to lay an egg of its own. In May 2022, chicken keeper Joanna Thornberry of West Liberty, Kentucky found that one of her hens had laid an abnormally large egg. After cracking it open, she found that the yolk was sharing its space with another fully formed egg. Now, that's a 2-for-1 special you'd be hard-pressed to find at your local grocery store. But all joking aside, this exceptional anomaly of nature does have a biological explanation. Under normal circumstances, a hen ovulates and releases an egg cell every 18 to 26 hours. That egg travels as a yolk through the oviduct, slowly gaining layers of membranes, egg white, and the calcium carbonate that forms the shell, along the path to laying. However, in rare circumstances, a second egg cell is released before the first egg has had time to reach full formation. The release of this second egg cell causes a contraction, which causes the first egg cell to reverse its course. Known as a counterperistalsis contraction, the first egg will combine with the newly released egg cell, which will eventually engulf the original egg, creating a very large egg for poor Henny to lay. Ouch. Found in just 1 out of every 100,000 eggs, there's no doubt that this double egg is a true exception to nature. Flower fauciation. There's no doubt that nature is truly fascinating, especially when Mother Nature goes a little overboard when letting its creative juices flower. This might look like the product of an experiment to create a floral xenomorph hybrid, but it's actually a natural case of a phenomenon called plant fasciation. Fasciation is a rare condition that causes abnormal growths in plants thanks to a hormonal imbalance in its growth cells. These developmental stutters can also occur in other plants like fruit, often with even more freakish results. This fasciated fruit is known as a coxcomb strawberry, which looks like 10 strawberries conjoined together. You're unlikely to come across one of these in a grocery store fruit container since they're already rare and tend to be weeded out for their strange looks. But despite appearing as if they were grown in radiation zones, coxcombs are generally safe to eat. Although who knows, eating one of these bad boys could see you become the next great superhero, Captain Strawberry. Striking down. They say that lightning never strikes in the same place twice, and while that proverb's accuracy is debatable, this next anomaly of nature goes to show that once can certainly be enough. These creepy-looking formations found in the open grass of a golf course may look like the bulging veins of the earth, but terrifyingly enough, this is actually the mark of a lightning bolt. The intricate patterns are known as Lichtenberg figures and are created by intense heating from the lightning arcs radiating just below or along the surface of the ground. As well as burnt vegetation, shallow trenches are sometimes created in the soil thanks to its moisture, which is explosively vaporized by the intense heat of the lightning charge. While mesmerizing and weirdly beautiful to behold, images like this make you think twice about teeing off at the local golf course in a lightning storm. Talk about a hole-in-one. Sprite on time. While Lichtenberg figures give us a glimpse into lightning's awesome power on the ground, there are still even stranger lightning things hiding up in the sky. Take a look. Wait a second, what was that? Don't blink now, let's see that again. Nope, we haven't stepped into Hawkins. This is an elusive jellyfish sprite, a transient red lightning event that looks straight out of the Upside Down. Just like regular lightning, red lightning is triggered by a buildup of electrical charge in the clouds. But in this case, the charge is released upwards into the mesosphere and beyond, rather than down towards the ground. Identified for their striking physical similarities to their oceanic namesake, jellyfish sprites can be as gigantic as 31 miles tall and wide. But despite their size, they're still extremely hard to catch a glimpse of IRL, bursting into view for no more than a few milliseconds at a time. Scientists believe the sprite's devilish color comes from a reaction between their powerful electrical discharge and the nitrogen, hydrogen, and oxygen of the upper atmosphere, which is similar to the way the northern lights work to display such striking hues. But unlike the northern lights, I think the jellyfish sprite is something I'm happy to observe from a distance, a very far distance. Fire and mud. While we've been busy digging up dirt on some of nature's weirdest and most wonderful oddities, looks like old Mother Nature is ready to deal some dirt of her own. But you'd better not get too close to this mud mystery.
It's really rocking now. Wow.
This raging concoction of thick boiling sludge was captured by a Canadian scientist in 2019, and while I'm all for a relaxing mud bath in a 5-star spa resort, I'm not sure I'll be taking a dip here. This anomalous bubbling mud volcano can be found at Yangpu Pond, just outside the city of Kaohsiung in Taiwan. With the ability to burn for 5 minutes after being set alight, the pool may seem like quite the scientific mystery at first glance. However, the mud in this puddle isn't anything like the type you might see in your everyday backyard. The mud's mysterious abilities are caused by the release of trapped gases bubbling up from deep within the earth, as well as microorganisms that are able to convert mud and water to methane, which in turn fuels the mesmerizing flames. While it's certainly no spa, this mud volcano just goes to show that when it comes to amazing anomalies, Mother Nature is most definitely no stick in the mud. Eerie airwaves. Now we've sampled some of nature's strangest wonders from the ground, it's time to seek some higher elevation. This striking photograph was taken by a helicopter pilot flying over Panama City Beach in Florida in 2012, capturing what looked like colossal ethereal waves washing over the seafront condos. While it might look pretty ghostly, what's happening here is very much of our world, and it's pretty easy to explain. Air passing over the sea can become saturated with moisture, and when this kind of warm, humid air rises and cools, it begins condensing to create mist. In the case of Panama City Beach, the high-rise condos lining the coastline acted as a sort of barrier to the incoming mist, forcing it to crest over the tops of the buildings where it condensed to form these epic wave-like clouds. While you'd usually hope for a clear day of sunshine for a beach trip, I know I'd be more than happy for this wavy wonder to interrupt my sunbathing, at least for a little while. While those Panama City waves of mist were quite a heavenly sight to behold, how about something a little more apocalyptic? While it might look like this neighborhood is about to be engulfed by a terrifying tsunami, this is yet another case of misty mirages. Captured in Cincinnati, Ohio in 2022, these rolling sky waves are known as Arcus clouds, a remarkable low-level cloud formation. Arcus clouds offer a terrifying view into what landscapes could look like when faced with a tidal wave of truly colossal proportions, like this collection of clouds captured in Sydney in 2015. While the clouds themselves aren't dangerous, they usually indicate a particularly strong incoming thunderstorm, as they're formed by the forceful downward gusts that occur in this kind of weather event. When these cold downdrafts reach the ground, the cold air can quickly spread along the ground, pushing all the warm, moist air skywards. As the warm air rises, water vapor condenses into visible cloud, and if the atmospheric conditions are just right, it will result in the swooshing patterns we see here. While there's no doubt that nature can be darn scary, turns out it can also be the worst kind of prankster. Curious chimerism. They say an apple a day keeps the doctor away, but this next funny fruit is sure to catch the undivided attention of not only your doctor, but the entire world. In 2009, British gardener Ken Moorish came across quite a mystery hanging in his backyard apple tree that left him feeling divided to the core. While picked from a tree of the Golden Delicious variety, this anomalous apple's peel appeared to be a perfect split between green and red, which was caused by a phenomenon known as chimerism. In Greek mythology, the chimera is a monstrous hybrid creature that's part lion, part goat, and part snake. But in reality, the term chimera is used when genetically distinct tissues fuse together in the same organism. Or more likely in the case of this apple, where a mutation occurs in one or more of the cells early in its development, causing different parts of the organisms to grow with different traits. While horticulturists estimate that the chance of finding a chimera apple are 1,000,000 to 1, there are other instances of double vision in nature that are even rarer. Meet Quimera, the two-faced house cat named for her extraordinary set of genetics, including two completely different furry faces at once. On first glance, this cute kitty looks like a chimera, which occurs in animals when two embryos fuse together in the womb, creating a single organism with genetic input from two completely different sets of DNA. However, according to genetics researchers, Quimera may not be a chimera cat at all, but instead a striking example of a calico cat. Unlike actual chimeras, calico cats have DNA from just one embryo, but different genetic components within each of their cells are randomly activated, producing unique results. In Quimera's case, the genes for orange fur were miraculously activated in just one half of her face, while black was activated in the other. Meanwhile, her single blue eye is due to a genetic lack of the compound responsible for producing pigments called melanin. It turns out that Quimera is one of just 2 cats in the world to possess perfectly divided fur as well as 2 distinctly colored eyes, and it's estimated that they could be as rare as 1 in 300 million. So while these felines may not really have 9 lives, it's safe to say calico kitties like Quimera at the very least lead a double life. Lava Dome. While experiences of nature are often associated with beauty and serenity, Mother Nature has plenty of surprises that can truly erupt from nowhere. At first glance, this might look like a fiery monster or a particularly angry zit exploding from the Earth's surface, but it's neither. It's actually a volcanic phenomenon called a lava dome fountain. And it's taking place on a solidified bed of cooled lava, not among the waves of the sea as you might assume at a glance. Usually lava erupts in a chaotic explosion, spewing magma in all directions somewhat randomly. But in October 1969, Kilauea volcano in Hawaii produced this perfectly symmetrical dome of lava, and it was captured on camera. Geologists believe that it may have happened due to an incredible amount of pressure inside the volcanic vent, bringing lava to the surface in a momentarily perfect semi-spherical swelling. Unlike most lava flows, the lava that formed this dome would have been unusually thick, piling up high around the vent as opposed to flowing away. While lava formations like this are said to take place in many volcanic areas, it's extremely rare to catch one as perfectly symmetrical as this. I guess this must be the only case where an angry red zit is a call for picture day. Rainbow Cave. Now we've explored the depths of a volcano's inner workings, I think it's time we cool off. In the misty mountains of Washington state lies Mount Rainier National Park, and while its beauty certainly sets it apart, it's what lies beneath that is truly unique. In August 2022, photographer Matthew Nichols found himself in the right place at just the right time, when his hike inside an ice cave turned into a technicolored fairy tale. It turns out that the cave's snow and ice ceiling was shallow enough to allow sunlight to refract through it. The splitting of white sunlight into different wavelengths through the varying thickness of ice resulted in this vibrant array of blended hues, with darker, bluer tones appearing wherever the roof was thicker, and yellow and red tones in thinner areas. While there was no pot of gold at the end of this rainbow recital, I'd say the real natural treasure here had already made Matthew a rich man with no need for gold. Rain bomb. Did you know mushroom clouds aren't solely the domain of nuclear bombs? In certain rare scenarios, nature can create visions of nuclear apocalypse all on her own. It looks something like this. Like an atom bomb in reverse, this fascinating time-lapse captured in June 2019 in Alberta, Canada, shows the monstrous movements of a rare weather phenomenon called a downburst. A downburst, also known as a rain bomb, is a rare but dramatic rainfall event that can form from thunderstorms that have particularly high levels of precipitation. Strong winds blowing upwards into a storm can hold back huge amounts of air, rain, and hail. But as other winds feed into the system, the updraft can weaken until it can no longer support the storm's contents. Then, it all suddenly spills out into a concentrated area. So try to take some comfort. If you ever feel like your life's a mess, remember that even nature can't hold it all together sometimes. Anomalies from above. From rain back to the clouds now, but this time, something extraterrestrial is in the air. While it might look like a magical UFO has descended to have a look at us Earthlings, this sky-high phenomenon recorded hovering over Brazil in 2016 is actually very much of this world. Known as cloud iridescence, this ethereal blob can only occur when a thin layer of tiny suspended water droplets or ice crystals crosses the sun's rays. Much like what happens when light hits an oily puddle to create a multicolored pattern on the ground, sunlight bounces off these atmospheric particles and scatters into a vibrant spectrum of colors. Talk about painting with all the colors of the wind. While cloud iridescence has a colorful but logical explanation, the same can't be said for this next unidentified cloudy object. In In 2015, nature seemed to have sent residents of Philadelphia an overhead spectacle that has yet to be explained. This twinkling, vaporous mass was captured floating above rooftops, gently tumbling in the wind before plunging out of view, almost like a weird cloud falling out of the sky. But before we send Chicken Little out to announce the sky is falling, there are some theories as to what might really be going on. Some online sleuths have pointed out that the strange formation could be a stray foam sud from a nearby industrial plant, as was likely the case with a similar viral video from around a decade ago. Others, meanwhile, argue the whole thing is fake. But honestly, if it's just CGI, then whoever made it needn't have bothered. Mother Nature has plenty of special effects, no computers necessary. Frosty locks. Snowflakes are often seen as a symbol of natural beauty, but did you know that the combination of ice with fungi can produce even more peculiar results? This mysterious structure, seemingly made of fine, silky locks of hair, is known as hair ice. It occasionally grows out of rotting wood when conditions are just right. That is, when the air is both humid and just below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. But most importantly, it requires the presence of a specific fungus called Excidiopsis effusia. Ice crystals normally grow larger in an outward direction thanks to a mechanism known as recrystallization. However, the fungus produces compounds with similar properties to antifreeze. This prevents ice from recrystallizing and forming a typical crust-like layer on rotting wood, and instead forces it to grow into long, delicate strands like these. While it kinda looks like cotton candy, I'm not sure how many people would be lining up at the carnival for hair ice flavored candy floss. Although, saying that, charcoal ice cream is a thing, so who knows? Mad mushrooms. As one of the strangest and most mysterious organisms in nature's extensive repertoire, we've already seen that humble fungus can have some magical qualities. But the only way to describe this next freaky fungus is, well, an utter basket case. Meet the basket stinkhorn, a mushroom even weirder than the rest, displaying a fascinating and unique growing behavior. The stinkhorn's outer skin splits open to reveal a crimson mass of mushroom magic. These latticed branches, called the fruiting body, burst out of the ruptured egg like some kind of alien, spore-covered jack-in-the-box. While oddly satisfying to watch, the stinkhorn's fruiting body emanates a revolting odor akin to rotting meat. Stink by name, stink by nature. The stench is designed to attract flies, which in turn transmit the spores to new locations and help the fungus reproduce. This process is also found in other members of the stinkhorn family, such as the smooth cage fungus, distinguished by its white coloring. It's rare to encounter their fruiting bodies because, like the basket stinkhorn, they don't last very long, quickly collapsing into soggy heaps before decomposing altogether. But occasionally, a surprising cluster of many fruiting bodies all bunched together is discovered. While oddly satisfying to behold, I'd say the delights of the stinkhorn are best kept behind the screen. Giga grasshoppers. While it's all very well looking at nature's strangest anomalies, how about living as one? This behemoth of a bug is a giant red-winged grasshopper, and yes, those massive wings actually work. While most common grasshoppers can range in size from 0.39 inches to 2.75 inches at the largest, the giant red-winged grasshopper found in South and Central America can reach lengths of up to 5.5 inches. Not only that, but they can fly using their striking wings, which can span up to 9 inches in wingspan, which sometimes causes people to mistake them for birds. Thankfully, the giant grasshopper prefers to live a solitary life and never swarm in masses of billions like their locust cousins do. You'd certainly need one heck of a bug-out shelter to avoid an army of these Goliaths. Trypophobic trees. Mystical and magical places, forest lands are the perfect spot for a walk with nature. But watch out, that magic can quickly turn to downright horror. Covered in hundreds of tiny bulging holes, this tree trunk is every trypophobe's nightmare. And while you might hope this is simply the handiwork of a twisted woodcarver, like the texture of this creepy dead pine tree carved out by artist Stuart Ian Frost, I'm sorry to say that this particular tree is all natural. The holes are actually drilled into the tree bark by acorn woodpeckers, who store acorns inside these self-drilled holes as food stores to sustain them through winter. But all you have to do is change the color of the acorns and suddenly they turn into hundreds of alien egg sacs ready to burst out of their otherworldly tree nest. Oh boy, I really need to stop binge watching alien movies. Burning tree. You've probably heard of trees getting their bark burned up by encroaching wildfires, but did you ever see a tree burning from the inside? Check it out. This internal inferno that took place in Shelbyville, California in October 2017 was somehow contained inside a hollow trunk. But what on earth allowed this fiery spectacle to take place? It's likely the tree was ignited in a wildfire that had been spreading through the surrounding area. However, if the bark was damp from something like recent rainfall, it could have made the exterior more resistant to burning. It's likely that embers from the wildfire found a gap in the damp bark, which caused the trunk to burn up from the inside out like a smoking chimney. So yeah, all you tree huggers out there might want to think twice before your next woody embrace. It might give you more burning passion in return than you'd hope for. Volcanic bodies. Like in life and nature, there's no smoke without fire. However, it's also safe to say that things are not always as they appear once the smoke is lifted. While this nightmarish void might look like a literal doorway to Dante's Inferno with demons being cast into oblivion, things aren't quite as apocalyptic as you might fear. Though I wouldn't say they're exactly comforting either. Captured at Hawaii's West Kamoakuna lava skylight back in 1996, this unique site is the result of masses of different lava flows over the years that have passed over and into the hole from uphill and dried up on the way. A lava skylight forms when part of the lava's tube's roof collapses in on itself, revealing the magma below and giving us a rare and mesmerizing glimpse into what's occurring behind the scenes of active volcanoes. While not as scary as it appears, I'm still not sure I'd be smiling as widely as this researcher if I were standing on the edge of a volcano's hungry-looking mouth. Snowcano. Every year in the dead of winter at Lechtwark State Park in New York, this colossal icy structure appears, seemingly from nowhere. Not only does this mountain of ice tower at almost 50 feet tall, but its frozen peak is somehow able to erupt a continuous stream of water, making it what appears to be the world's first ice volcano. But while I'm all for snowcano recognition, that isn't quite what's going on here. This natural oddity actually has its roots in a very man-made water jet from the park's Glen Iris fountain. As the winter snow falls, the jet gets buried under, and when the fountain water shoots up into the frozen atmosphere, it falls as a frosty slush. Gradually, this mix of ice and snow builds up in a cone around the nozzle, forming the truly remarkable snowcano. Of course, now the world knows snowcanos exist, it's probably only a matter of time before someone hits the big screen with the hottest new action movie franchise, Snowcano vs. Volcano. It's the high-pressure blockbuster we've all been waiting for, with fight scenes so cool, they burn. Coming this summer to a lava pit near you. Devil's Bath. From frosty formations to something looking a little more radioactive, check this out. While you might assume that this pool's fluorescent shade is down to some kind of toxic waste contamination, think again, because this baby is all natural, but still deadly. Located in central New Zealand, the Waiotapu Wonderland is home to several geothermal sites, but the most intriguing of all is this one, the Devil's Bath. Despite its beastly name, the Devil's Bath is considered quite the natural wonder, mostly for its unique lime-colored liquid. The blinding green color comes from a high amount of hydrogen sulfide and ferrous salts that rise up through the Earth's bowels, and it brings more than a splash of color. The astronomical amount of sulfur produces a pungent odor of rotten eggs, and it only gets worse. If you haven't got the hint yet, the Devil's Bath is not suitable for your next rubber ducky dip, as direct contact with the bruised hydrogen sulfide could result in inflammation of the eyes and respiratory tract, which can sometimes be fatal. So yeah, sometimes nature is simply better admired from a distance. As they say, you're better off with the devil you know than the bright green demonic witch's brew you don't. Now think about this. What do you do when you're on public transport, cleaning your house, or you generally just can't stare at a screen? Do you still want to learn amazing facts and have your mind blown? Well, I've got the solution. Be Amazed is now available in podcast form. Look up Be Amazed on all major podcast platforms. Follow us now on the podcast platform of your choice, and you'll have the chance to win $500 of Amazon vouchers. We're giving $100 vouchers away to 5 lucky winners. All you need to do is slide into my DMs on Facebook or Instagram with a screenshot showing that you follow the Be Amazed podcast and left a top rating. Hurry, the competition ends on the 30th of September. Winners will be chosen at random and announced via our Facebook page. Which of these anomalies of nature blew your mind the most? Have you ever come across any strange things in nature of your own? Let me know down in the comments, and thanks for watching.